2021 was a huge year for sports fans. I'm here with Toronto Sun columnists Steve Simmons, Rob Longley, and Jon McCarthy. We're going to be looking ahead to 2022, though. Guys, I got to ask you, which sports stars are you most looking forward to seeing next year? Steve, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm a Toronto Sun columnist, so the Toronto athletes are the ones that interest me the most. And I start with Austin Matthews and Glady Guerrero Jr. I don't remember any time where a Toronto team had the best hitter in all of baseball. And I'm talking the entire history of the Blue Jays. I don't remember that ever happening. We saw it last summer. What do we get this summer once the lockout is settled? It's the same thing on the hockey side with Austin Matthews. Toronto has never had the best goal scorer in the NHL. At any time in the history, 100 years of the Maple Leafs, they've never had that. They have that now, or a guy who's in that position with a team that's never gone beyond the first round in his time in the NHL or for many, many years. So you've got April, May coming up, May hockey playoffs. What's Matthews going to do? What are the Leafs going to do? And assuming baseball starts, when baseball starts, what's Guerrero and these young, amazing Jays going to do in a summer where everyone's going to be looking at them to win something?
Okay, I want to jump off that. Rob, Steve just mentioned Vlad Guerrero Jr. Everybody's going to have their eyes keyed on him. Who else are you looking forward to seeing on the Jays next season?
Well, just the whole group of young players on that team, Mark, to see if they can take the next step. Obviously, they had 91 wins last season, fell just short of making the playoffs, and the World Series champions only had 88, the Atlanta Braves. So I think the excitement around this team is what these young guys can do after they've had their first 162-game full Major League Baseball season, and if they can take it to the next level. So I look at a guy like Bo Bichette, who basically his career has mirrored Vlad Guerrero Jr. They've come up through the minor leagues together. They both have superstar potential. They both already are superstars, really. And we saw Bichette play better on defensively at shortstop late last season. A real consistent guy at the plate and a real compliment to Vlad Guerrero Jr. So I'm really excited to see what Bichette does. But to Steve's point, I mean, the whole baseball world was talking about Vlad Guerrero Jr. by the end of the year. He led the league in home runs with 48. He was the All-Star Game MVP. His first full season in the major leagues. Big things are expected of him. And if the Blue Jays are going to make it to the playoffs next year, it's going to be on the coattails of Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Just to jump in, one of the things that's fascinating about Vladdy is he's had that career year. What do you do to follow it? Is he better than that? Is this going to be the standard? We don't know that yet. And that's what makes this so interesting with Bichette and with Guerrero and with Teoscar Hernandez and with some of these other guys. But in Guerrero's case, what the Blue Jays have never had a guy who was first in this and first in that and first in this ever before. And he would have been the MVP were it not for Shohei Ohtani. So how do you follow that up? You know, maybe he can do that. Maybe he could equal those numbers. But that's the fascinating part of this guy. Can he do that? And will he do that?
Jon, I know you normally cover golf. Who are you looking forward to seeing next season?
Well, I do have to start with Tiger Woods. I mean, we got a taste of what's in store maybe with a comeback. So whenever he tees it up at a major championship in 2022, it's going to be huge news. And if he actually makes some noise in it, it could be the sports story of 2022. But I'm going to go away from golf a bit. I'm very interested in seeing what Leylah Fernandez does, the Canadian tennis player. She sort of captivated everybody last year. I want to see how she can follow it up. She's only 19 years old. And F1, everybody loves F1. George Russell, he's moving over to Mercedes. He's going to be paired with Lewis Hamilton on the team. I think that dynamic's going to be incredible to watch. But actually, if I'm looking, the athlete I'm most interested in is one I haven't even met yet. It's the Olympics coming up. The Winter Olympics, I'm a sucker for them. And I love how you go into a Winter Olympics and you don't know who the star is going to be. And all of a sudden you meet some young Canadian you've never heard of. And 2 weeks later, they're like a household name. So that's what I'm looking forward to, especially now. It looks like, you know, potentially the NHL players won't be there. So if there's ever a time to sort of focus on the athletes at the Olympics are really about, the amateurs that gave up so much, especially through this pandemic to get there, I think it's this Olympics. So if we can narrow the focus on some of these amateur athletes that have given up everything. It's going to be awesome in February.
Steve, I want to toss it back to you really quickly before we go. The Raptors, we're a couple years removed from a championship season. A whole lot of new faces this season. I want to get your thoughts on the Raps really quick.
Well, to me, it's one face right now. It's Scottie Barnes. He is having a phenomenal rookie year on a very, very ordinary Raptors team that can't seem to stay healthy. And to watch him play and to watch each game, because he's one of these guys who gives you a little more each time you see him. It's almost like watching a great actor. Like you see him in one part and he does the role, and you see him in another part, he does the role. What I love about Scottie Barnes so far, and I'm intrigued to see how the years will come. What I'm intrigued by is how he gives you something new every single night. A play he never made before, a pass he never made, a defensive play. He has turned out to be a phenomenal pick for the Raptors, and he's going to be the piece that they build whatever future they have around.
And if he can keep acting like Giannis, I think Raptors fans will be pretty happy.
Okay, let us know what you think down below. What stars are you excited to see in 2022? Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Head over to TorontoSun.com to sign up for Simmons Says, as well as Monday Morning Golf.